Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare, a group of KENE solutions. This is part 7 of lesson number 15, Improvement in Food Resources. So in this part of the lesson, we are going to discuss about, we are almost done with the poultry farming, we are left with beekeeping. Right, and about the fisheries, you can say we have two different concepts to discuss under fishery. One is marine fishery and the other one is inland fisheries, right? So in this part we will be discussing about fisheries in detail, beekeeping, summary, and then exercise. Let's see, if possible I'll be completing it today, or else we will need one more part to complete this. It all depends upon how lengthy the concepts are, right? So for now, before I start with this part of the lesson, that is part 7, I want you all to please revise all the notes that you have in your book, starting from part 1 of the lesson, Improvement in Food Resource. Please read each and every statement that you have taken down in your book. I hope every one of you are revising it. Now once you are done with the revision part, I'm going to show you all the slides one by one. Please go through that slide as well, everyone. So this is what we started with the lesson with, where we had the introduction for all, right? So I want you all to please go through the introduction quickly. After this introduction, we discussed on improvement of crop yield, right? So I want each one of you to please go through the slide as well, and please make sure you know about the types of crops, because you will be asked to write about it in detail. So there, at that moment, you will have to write everything, like about the oil seeds. You should be knowing few of the oil seeds. Then pulses, cereals, fodder crops are mostly been asked. So make sure you'll know that. Okay. After this types of crops, we have the next thing as crop season that we had discussed. So please go through this as well, everyone. Okay, so over here we have Kharif crop and Rabi crop which have been given, and the season when they have been grown. Now Kharif crops have been grown during rainy season because the water requirement for those crops are more as compared to Rabi crops. Okay. After this, we discussed on improvement and crop in. So under this, we have three different activities which have been given. The first is crop variety improvement. Second one is crop production improvement. And lastly, we have crop protection improvement. Okay. So I want you all to please go through it, because after that we had discussed with we have discussed about them in detail, right? So we, under this crop variety improvement, we had discussed about hybridization, and under this we have three different types of hybridization as well, which is intervarietal, interspecific, intergeneric, and then lastly we have genetically modified crop that has been given, right? So I want you all to please go through all the statements which have been given over here, because each and everything matters a lot, right? After this crop variety improvement, we discussed on the reasons why exactly crop variety is been like different types of crop varieties have been grown. So the first reason is for having the higher yield. Second is biotic and abiotic resistance. Third is change in maturity duration. Fourth is wider adaptability. Fifth is desirable agronomic character. And lastly, we have improved quality. So these are the six different reasons why crop variety needs to be grown, right? After this, we discussed on crop production management. So under this, we had nutrient management, then we had irrigation, and lastly, we had cropping pattern. Okay, so nutrient management will include controlling the selection, time and amount of nutrients applied to the crop, because we know that plants will get their nutrient from air, water and soil. And always remember that there are 16 nutrients which have been required by the plant, and they are been fulfilled through air, water and soil. So on the next slide, if you remember, we have about like what exactly the plants are getting from air, water and soil, right? So air supplies will include oxygen and carbon dioxide. Water supplies will include hydrogen. And lastly, we have soil supplies where all the 13 nutrients have been met. Okay, so this is how the plant gets all the 16 types of nutrients which has been needed by them. And we have two different types of nutrients over here. One is macronutrient and the other one is the micronutrient. Now macronutrients are required in large quantities by the plant, and this macronutrients includes carbon and oxygen from air, hydrogen from water, because water is H2O, so it has oxygen and hydrogen. So it will get the hydrogen from water. Then soil will provide the plant with nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. So these are all the macronutrients, that is, they have been required in larger quantities by the plant. After this macronutrient, we had micronutrients. Now always remember that this micronutrients, they have been required in smaller quantity by the plants, and this micronutrients includes iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum and chlorine, and this have been again provided by the plants, right? After this, we discussed on manure. So I want you all to please go through it. So under manure, we have two different types of manures that we had discussed. That is compost and green manure, right? After this, we discussed on fertilizers, which has been given very short, right? So I want you all to please go through it quickly. After fertilizers, we discussed on animal husbandry. So as in why animal husbandry has been carried out and what exactly has been done in animal husbandry is scientific management of animal livestock, where different aspects like feeding, breeding and disease control, all these aspects are being taken care of. Okay, so animal husbandry includes all the animal based farming like cattle, goats, sheep, poultry, and fish farming. So everything has been done because we have two different sources with us, right? One is the plant source and the other one is the animal source, right? So, so both the sources like need to be maintained and the production should be good, right? So for that reason, the livestock production has to be improved. After this, we discussed on cattle farming, and I hope you all are going through it. I hope you all are going through this slide, everyone. After this cattle farming, we have the further part that has been explained over here. That is about the food requirement and what are the, you can say, different steps, you can say, food material which have been required by them, right? So I want you all to please go through this slide as well. So sorry. After this, we discussed on poultry farming as well, and I want you all to please go through it quickly. I hope every one of you are going through it. After this, we discussed on egg and broiler production. So I want each one of you to please go through it as well. I hope you all are going through this egg and broiler production. Now after this we have fish production that we need to discuss. So see, we know that fish is a cheap source of protein for us, right? Because the more we eat protein, the more more we eat fish, the more protein we get, right? So fish production includes the finned through fish as well as shellfish such as prawns and mollusca. Now I'm pretty sure that many of you might have eaten this shellfish, prawn, and you might have even eaten, you can say, the true fish, right? So there are two ways that through which we obtain our fishes. One is the natural source. We go and like capture the fish, so that is called as capture fishing. And the other one that we have is like by fish farming, which is called as culture fishery. What do we call it as? Culture fishery. And the water source of the fish, it can either be seawater or it can be fresh water. It can be anything. Okay, what I said? It can either be seawater or it can be fresh water. Now the water source of the fish can either be seawater or fresh water, and that can be from rivers and ponds, right? So fishing can thus be both by capturing the fish and by culturing the fish. So we have the option of culturing the fish as well in marine and freshwater ecosystem, right? So this is just the basic thing that they have introduced over here. I want you all to please go through it quickly. Now after this we have the first type of fishery, that is marine fishery, to discuss about. So India's marine fishery resource includes 7,500 kilometer of coastline, and then we have deep seas which are beyond it, right? So popular marine fish varieties includes pomfret, mackerel, tuna, sardines, and Bombay duck. These are some of the popular varieties that we have. Okay, so marine fish are caught using many kinds of fishing nets from fishing boats. So the fishers will be on the boats and they will be having the fishing nets using which they are going to, you can say, catch the fish. Okay, and yields are increased by locating large schools of fish in the open sea using satellites and echo sounders. So what they do is they come up with certain you can say echo sounders and satellites through which they can have large number of fishes that can come together. Okay. Then after that we have some of the marine fishes. They are of high economic value and they are been farmed by the farmers, right? So this include fin fishes like mullets, betki, pearl spots, shellfish such as prawns. Okay. Then after that we have mussels and oysters and seaweeds as well. So oysters are also been cultivated for the poles they make. Always know this, that oysters are cultivated for the poles that they have, and as marine fish stocks gets further depleted, the demand for more fish can be met using like the culture fisheries, a practice which is called as mariculture. Okay. So some of the pictures have been given on the screen. Like we have Macrobrachium rosenbergi, which is a freshwater fish, and then we have Peneus modon, which is a marine fish, right? I hope you all are taking down all the important notes from screen. After this marine fisheries, we have inland fisheries to discuss. So see, freshwater resources include canals, ponds, reservoirs and rivers, and brackish water resources where seawater and freshwater will mix together. So we know that when seawater and freshwater mixes together, it forms the estuaries and lagoons. So over here in estuaries and lagoons, we have few of the important fish reservoirs which have been present. And while we capture the fishing, like fishing has also been done in inland water bodies, but the yield over there is not high. It means the number of fishes which have been caught over here is not high. So most fish production from this resources is through aquaculture. How is it? It is through aquaculture. So fish culture is sometimes done in combination with a rice crop, so that fishes are grown in the water in the paddy field itself. So along with the rice crop, fish culture has also been done, and more intensive fish farming can be done in composite fish culture system. So over here, both local and imported fish species have been used in such system, and therefore in such a system a combination of 5 or 6 fish species is used in a single fish pond. So in a single fish pond, there are chances and probability that we will be getting more than 5 to 6 species of fish in that. And these species are selected so they are not competing for food among them, and along with they're not competing, but even they are like having different types of food habits, so they are not competing for food with one another. And as a result, the food available in all the parts of the pond has been used, and as ketlas are surface feeders, rohus feed in the middle zone, migrills and common carps are bottom feeders, and grass carps feed on the weeds. Together, this species can use all the food in the pond without competing with each other. So here we have different species of fish, right? And all the food that they are having is different, right? So this increases the fish yield from the pond. And one problem with such composite fish culture is that many of these fish breed only during monsoon. So their breeding period is during monsoon itself, and even if fish is collected from the wild, it can be mixed with that of the other species as well. So it's not compulsory that we have to go with all the like fishing. We have to keep only one species of fish. We can mix all the other species as well. And a major problem in fish farming is lack of availability of good quality seeds. And so as to overcome this problem, there are different ways which have been worked out to breed this fish in ponds using hormonal stimulations, and this has ensured the supply of pure fish seed in the desired quantity. Okay, so I want you all to please go through it quickly. So I hope every one of you are writing all the important points from the screen. I hope every one of you are writing all the important points from screen. Now after this inland fisheries, we have like how the fish ill, like because of the thing that they are doing, because hormonal stimulation has been done, the increase in the fish production can be seen in the ponds. And one problem with such composite fish culture is that many of these fish breed only during monsoon. Now this is one of the major problem that has been observed, that they breed during monsoon season. So even if fish seed is collected from the wild, it can be mixed with that of the other species as well. And major problem is lack of availability of good quality seeds. We have already discussed this, right? The same thing has been given over here as well. By mistakenly there might be some issue. So you can see the varieties of the fish, different species of the fish in the picture. The first one is the catla, second one is the silver carp, third one is rohu, fourth one is grass carp, fifth one is mrigel, and sixth one is common carp. So these are the six different species of fish, you can say. Okay. So I hope you all are taking notes from here as well. So after this, now we have beekeeping, which has been left. So I will be starting with beekeeping, what you have learned, and lastly we have exercise questions to discuss. So I'll be doing that in the next part, but make sure that whatever we had discussed today, you are clear with it. So we are just left with one small part, that is beekeeping. Then we have what exactly you have learned, the summary part, and lastly we have 9 exercise questions that we will be discussing on. Okay, so I want you all to please go through the question quickly. I hope every one of you are going through the exercise questions. So this is the last question that we will be discussing at the end, and this is how we will be completing with the whole lesson. Make sure, because the next part that I'm going to start with is going to be the last part, right? So make sure you all are revising each and everything that we started so far, and you know the concept in detail as well. Okay. So after discussing this 9 question, we will be ending up with the lesson. I'll end this part over here, and I'll be starting with beekeeping and the exercise in the next part. Thank you everyone.